Hello besties, you're welcome back to my channel today, Easy Sewing with Tyke. So what I have for you on the channel today is a detailed tutorial on how to make this straight beautiful ruffled skirt. Okay, so if that is something you're interested in, then I suggest that you keep watching all the way till the end. Now if you're coming across my channel for the very first time, you're welcome. It's so good to have you here. Thank you for stopping by. Please do not forget to hit the subscribe button, share, like, and leave a comment for me, okay? And to all of my returning subscribers, thank you for always coming back. Thank you for doing this with me. I appreciate you all. Now let's get started. The chalked line is my start point. That's where I'm starting all my vertical measurement from. And so the first vertical measurement I will be putting there is the waist to the hip. And in this case, it is 7 inches. 7 inches, okay? After which I'll put in the length of the skirt, since this is a short skirt, it's a
And the
mini
skirt of the
skirt.
length that I'm working with today is 15 inches. So I'll go ahead and add 1 inch sewing allowance to it. That's a total of 16. Now you can add as much as 2 inches to your hem allowance depending on the type of hem finish you are hoping to achieve. So I'll just go ahead and rule a straight line across all those chalked lines. Now it's time to start putting the horizontal measurement, and the first one that I will be working with is the waist measurement. So the waist that we're working with today is 26. 26 divided by 4. I'll go ahead and chalk it out. Then I'll be adding 2 inches allowance to this because I'll still be turning this with lining. So if you're working with like crepe fabric or a fabric that you're not turning with lining, then you can go ahead and add just 1 inch or 1.5. After which, on that hip line there, I'll go ahead and put the hip measurement and add 2 inches allowance as well. So at the hem line, because of the length of this skirt, since it is a short skirt, I'm just going to subtract 1 inch from the measurement I have there, and I'll put it on the hem line, and that is where I'll be connecting it to. But if your skirt length is going to get to your knee, like if it's going to get to your knee, then you might want to subtract 2 inches to make it more tapered, to make it more penciled, okay? But since this is a short skirt, it's stopping around the thigh area, subtracting 2 inches might be too much. It might make it difficult for the person putting it on to be able to walk properly. So just subtract 1 inch from the whatever you have on your hip line. That also bear in mind that you are subtracting 1 inch from the hip measurement divided by 4. So for example, the hip measurement you're working with is 40. 40 divided by 4 is 10. So you are putting 9 inches on the hem line. So now I'll just go ahead and connect all these lines together. And now the next thing to do is to come down by ½ inch at the center front that way and connect it all the way to the side to give the skirt a perfect fit. And afterwards, I'll go ahead and add ½ inch all the way at the waistline to attach this to the band. Okay, so from that new line, from that new half inch I came down by, I'm just going to add half inch all the way like so and roll it across. Now it's time to cut it out. So to cut out the back, I'll be placing the front pattern on the fabric this way, and I'll be leaving out 2 inches allowance. Now you can decide to make your own zipper allowance, 1 inch, 1.5, depends on you. After which I'm going to extend the hip line that way all the way to the zipper allowance. And also the waistline as well. I'll be extending the waistline, but this time around, remember to make the waistline straight. Remember that the waistline for the front is slanted, but for the back, make sure it is straight, okay? Now to make that perfect bum contour at the waistline that way, you want to come in by ½ inch that way. And also, since you are coming in by ½ inch there, you want to add ½ inch to your measurement that way. Just extend the waistline. So come in by ½ inch at the zipper area, then come out by ½ inch. So you want to connect it to the waistline like so on both sides. Now, if you want a even more defined bum contour, then at the hem line that way, come in by ½ inch, connect it all the way to the hip line like so. And since we are going to cut off that ½ inch, you want to replace it at the side so as not to have shorted in your measurement, okay? So you ought to replace it at the side as well and connect it to the hip line also, just as I am doing right here. And now it's time to cut it out. So for that side, make sure that you do not cut through the hip, okay, the hip line, because you do not add any extra allowance at the side. So you just want to do this, and this is what we have. You can see how contoured that bum area is. So yes, this is what you want to have. Now it's time to determine the length of the fabric we are cutting out for the ruffles. And to do that, you have to know the circumference at the end. So remember that the circumference at the end is 9 inches. So 9 times 4 is 36, because this 9 inches is divided by 4. It is 36. Now 36 multiplied by 2.5 or by 3 inches or by 4 inches. Just multiply your circumference by either 2.5 or 3 inches, depending on how gathered you want the ruffles to be, okay? So in this case, 36 multiplied by 2.5 is 90. So the length of my ruffles would be 90. After determining the length of the ruffles, it's time to determine the height of the ruffles. That is how wide you want it to be. So I'll be having 6 inches on fold. I'll be having 6 inches on fold because it was going to serve as both what you're going to see outside and as the lining. So I'll have cut out 6 inches on fold. It means when I open the fold, I have cut out 12. So I'm actually cutting out 12 by 90. 12 by 90, okay, for the ruffles. And also I'm gonna have to cut out the band for the front and for the back. So the height of this band is 2.5 inches, and the length, of course, is the waist measurement. So for the back, don't forget to add the zipper allowance as well. Now I'll go over and cut out the lining for this and head to the sewing machine. So I'm gonna head to iron and interfacing onto all the bands, and I'm going to set that aside. I've also cut out the lining for the skirt, but it is 1 inch lesser than the total full length of the skirt because of the type of hem finish that I want to achieve with this skirt. So off camera, I'm gonna to turn the back piece with the lining. So this is the type of hem finish I told you I want to achieve. Now we are going to turn the front with lining together so you can see how I was able to achieve this. Now placing the lining on the right side of the skirt fabric, you want to go ahead and sew it all the way at the hem, okay? Remember that we have reduced the length of the lining by 1 inch. So I'll go ahead and sew it all the way at the hem using half an inch. The next thing to do now is to move the lining to match up with the waistline, okay? And I'll go ahead and sew it all the way at the side. So you are going to have something like this. Make sure that you move the lining to match up with the upper part, okay? Then you are going to have it like that. So I'll go ahead and sew it on both sides. Now it's time to turn it inside out, and this is what you want to have. See how beautiful the hem looks like now. So if you want to have a wider hem line that way, then it means you have to reduce your lining by more than 1 inch, but also make sure that you factor it into the length of your skirt. Factor it into the allowance that you're adding to your skirt, okay? So I'll just go ahead and stitch it at the upper part now. Now it's time to take in the dart. So I'm just going to put in my bust band measurement there and add the allowance for the dart. Then the length of the dart is 5 inches. So you just want to go ahead and sew the dart. When you are sewing that for the back, make sure that you factor in the zipper allowance, okay? Here's a tip for when you are sewing your dart, especially if you are not too conversant with it. Once you get to the tip, do not backstitch, okay? Do not backstitch. Just want to leave out excess thread that way, and you want to tie it. You want to tie it manually. You want to secure it manually. This is better if you are not used to backstitching your dart. It makes your dart come out neater, okay? Now it's time to fix the band. So placing the band that way, making sure that there's allowance on both sides, and automatically there will be allowance on both sides because you have already turned the main fabric with lining. You have already also taken in the dart. So that means that's reduced from what we have when we cut out this skirt originally. So you want to go ahead and sew it by half an inch. Afterwards, you want to fold it inside out this way, making sure that you are folding it by the height of the band, which is 2 inches. Then you are going to sew it, secure it at the sides. Secure it at the sides, okay, so as to achieve a neat look. And now the next thing to do is to turn it out. So you can go ahead and iron it at this stage. You can go ahead and use an iron to fold in the half inches inside that way. Then you just want to start sewing as close as possible to that joining, okay? At the second side, you just want to fold it in this way to achieve a neat look, okay? So I'll just go ahead and attach the band to the front and to the second side of the back. Now placing the two back on each other that way, you want to measure out what you want to use to fix your zipper, depending on the length of the zip you have. Then you want to go ahead and sew the waist. Sew the waist by the remaining zipper allowance that you have left after turning with fabric. After which you want to go ahead and attach your zip. Okay, so this is what we have. Now placing both the front and the back on each other, you want to go ahead and put in your waist measurement and your hip measurement and the measurement at the hem, and just join it at the side. Now make sure the band height match up. Okay, so I'll go ahead and do that now. And now the skirt is ready, it's time to move to the ruffles. Placing it that way, remember that our 6 inches is on fold. I'll go ahead and sew it all the way by ½ inch, after which I will turn it inside out. Here's what you want to do. You want to mark the midpoint that way. Then you want to match up the midpoint and the line where we just finished sewing together. So you're going to secure it, make sure it matches up. So it means that the stitch line will be hidden, as that stitch line would be at the lower part and the other side would be where it's going to show outside. This is just to achieve a neat look. Okay, now I'm done ironing, so it's time to determine how you want the ruffles to be. Do you want the ruffles to be centralized, like something you can see on your screen right now, or do you want the upper part to be shorter than what you have at the lower part? So I'm going with that second option. So what I'm just going to do is to mark out 2 inches all the way. That is where my ruffles line is going to be. Okay, so it's time to achieve your ruffles. You can do that using a ruffler foot. You can achieve it manually by stitching it down with your machine, or you can use thread and needle like this. So you just want to put your needle, make sure it goes inside out like this, and you keep doing that till you've exhaust the whole fabric that you have there. So I'll keep doing this till I've exhausted it. And now this is what I have. Now it is time to fix it. Now matching up the ruffle line, that 2 inches that we marked out earlier, and coming up by 1 inch or ½ inches from the hem of the skirt, you just want to secure the ruffles onto the skirt that way. So I'll keep sewing it and adjusting the ruffles with the thread that I still have on it. You won't cut out the thread yet, and I'm just going to fix the ruffles all the way. Once you are done fixing the ruffles, you want to go ahead and cut out that thread that we used to create the ruffles in the first place. That thread that was inside the hand needle, you just want to cut it off away from the ruffles like so.
That will be all for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying to the end. So I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope that you gained value from it. I hope that you learned 1 or 2 things. If your answer to all of this is yes, then please like this video, share it, leave a comment for me, engage, let me know what you think. Okay, and you can also connect with me on my Instagram page at tyke_tyke. And if you're yet to subscribe, please do not leave without doing so. Thank you, and see you in my next video.